Of Mr. Allard's Neighborhood. This is the place where you're entitled to Brad's opinion. And now for your host, Brad Allard.
All right, Mr. Allard's Neighborhood, take two. We had some sort of audio problem. Neither one of us know what it is, but apparently it's fixed, and so here we are again. I love live TV, but whatever. It's part of the drill. Anyway, today I want to talk about some of the things that are just confusing me, frankly, about what's going on with our country. What's confusing me is we have very significant problems, and for the life of me, I really don't understand. I do not understand the Biden's administration and the method by which they are approaching some of these things. It strikes me as unbelievable that we are going through significant economic problems, and we have several coming our way, and yet we still don't seem to have a pretty good grip on what's happening here. Now, speaking of getting a grip, I'm trying to get this for. Oops. I'm trying to get this thing to share and all this other stuff. I'll get to it. But anyway, I'm going to try to explain as best I can some of these things. I'm going to try to explain what I see happening and what I see as a problem. I'm going to try to figure out, what is happening, not just with our economy, with our foreign policy as well. There's several things that it just seems like are counterintuitive to what we want to see happen, but it's still happening. But before we go into my levels of confusion, if you have some of the same questions I do, please be my guest and let me know what you think of it as well. But that going back to it, let's do the sponsors. CrossFit Burleson, 317 Southwest Wilshire. Thank you, Daniel, for all your help and everything you do for us over there behind Stone Soup. And I'm sorry, I got all those allergies working on me too. Also, it's behind the strip mall there on Wilshire, 317, and it's a very good workout. It's appropriate. It's monitored. It's got training programs, so you're not just there by yourself and trying to fend for yourself. You have real opportunities. I'm sorry, the allergies are killing me. I know they're killing Taylor too, but that's probably one reason why he's more remote today. Also, thank you to Shandy at the Stogsdill Group. Shandy Stogsdill will be on in about a couple of weeks to talk to us about all the various different types of real estate deals are going on in Burleson. If you want to move in and around this area, you want to take care of your home, and you want to have it done in the right hands. You want to have somebody knows what they're talking about. Shandy always is very well informed. She comes very well prepared, so she also will help you with the rates and trying to manage that, because we all know they're going up. So if you want to help yourself, call Shandy Stogsdill. Also, thank you to our friend and everybody's friend, Otto, at our place. It's always a great place for a meal. I go there at least once a week. It's a great place to do business. It's a great place to have a cup of coffee and some pies. Good place to meet friends. And so I just love that place. And it's on the highway in Alsbury. It's been there since 1986. So go by, say hey to Otto, Ryan, the whole crew, and get yourself some comfort food. Also, thank you to Chris over at Wild Cigar. That's another type of comfort he provides: a good smoke, a good drink, a good atmosphere. The Wild over at the Standard, they have specials going on every day practically. So go over there, check it out. And good place to go in the afternoon for post work kind of relaxation, or maybe do a little business there. They have a conference room if you want to use it, or if you just want to have a couple of people just to have a visit about what's going on. Go to Wild Cigar and Culture. Also, thank you to Local Life Magazine. It's coming out this week. Tiffany does a great job as always. If you're looking for something like today, look at locallifetx.com, and she can, also provide you with social media help as well. But Local Life Magazine is also really, really good about letting you know what's going on. They have local articles, local businesses, and it's a great way to stay in touch with the community. Also, thank you to Southern Jim with Gayla. We had her on yesterday, so I invite you to check out the podcast and the Facebook. Particularly if you see the Facebook view, and you'll see the jewelry examples of her inventory that she showed on the show. And she's going to be moving into that bottom floor location over at the Standard very, very soon, over at the Chisenhall. So I think you're going to really enjoy it. And the way she described that place will be a place if you take your wife over there, men, you will have a place to sit down and watch the ball game, which I think is a stroke of genius. More businesses need to do that. So Southern Gym, they can help you at Christmas time with layaways and wish lists and things of that nature. So check out the show yesterday, and she'll spell it all out for you. Thank you also to Michelle over at HotWorks. She does a great job with her businesses. She has 2 locations, but the one here in Burleson is the original one, and it's the busiest one, and it's a very good workout. It's a different kind of workout with infrared, so you're maximizing the workout. A lot of my friends have used Michelle's HotWorks program, and they just swear by it because they say they get a really good workout with less physical stress. So it's over in 731 over by Kroger and the theaters and all that business over in John Jones. And Melissa Harmon, Texas Farm Bureau, she's my agent. She could be your agent, 682-804-0534. She can help you out with what you need in terms of checking out your insurance policies, make sure they're up to date and they cover everything you want to be covered. Take it over there. She'll check it out. And if she can't help you, she'll tell you. She's not going to find some excuse. She will give you the straight answer about what's going on with your insurance policy. And if she could help you, she will. She helped me save a little money and increase my life insurance. And tomorrow afternoon, on November 30th, you hear this tomorrow, from 3 to 5, they're going to have Santa Claus come by and visit. And so what I would do if I were you moms, bring your kids home from school tomorrow, as you're driving, stop by and have them see Santa. It'd be a nice thing to end the day with. So it's, after a hard day of schooling over at Nola Dunn or Mountain Elementary, you have them come by and see Santa. It's over on 124 Northwest Summercrest, which is behind the Captain D's. It's part of that strip mall where Jimmy John's is and Marco's Pizza and all that. So go by and check that out, 3 to 5. And we got a couple other nonprofits with Christmas ornament fundraiser for Re-Inspire. They're at Bennett's and they are at Accents here in Burleson. Accents over by the railroad tracks. Bennett's is in downtown Cleburne. And go by for a $15 donation. You can have an ornament for your tree. They'll also be more than glad to take more than just $15, but they'd like at least 15 to go by and help these people that are doing all these great things for all the people that work there at Re-Inspire. It's an inspiring place, and no pun intended, because they do a lot of good work. Also, we have tomorrow, November 30th, Toys for Tots, the 75th annual Toys for Tots. It's the first time for Burleson, 6 to 11:30 p.m. over at Chisenhall Field. So come by with a new and unwrapped toy. Some of the BISD athletes will be there to help you with it. And they'll be unloading and loading. Some of the BISD performing groups from the high schools and middle schools will be there singing carols or other tunes. There'll be a tree. There'll be a visit from Santa. There'll be the whole 9 yards. There'll be a couple of vendors and food trucks and whatnot. So go by and, if you want to drive through and drop it off, great. If you want to stop, just park in the Chisenhall Field parking lots and you'll be good to go. And it'll be well worth the time. And lastly, Braces of Burleson is giving back to the community on December 1st, which is Thursday from 3:30 to 6:30. You can win a free set of braces, which is quite a giveaway. They'll have door prizes of giveaways and local vendors and face painting, the whole thing. It's at December 1st, 3:30 to 6:30. It's at 809 Southwest Allsbury Boulevard. 809 Southwest Allsbury Boulevard, which is near Summercrest as well. So if you want to drop by after school, kids, with be all sorts of things going on, and mom and dad can maybe save a little money on your braces, which is always a good thing. So be sure to check out that. Okay, busy time here in Burleson. Okay, I want to go over a couple of things you already know. First of all, you may not be aware of this, but we have inflation. Of course, we have inflation. What's happening is that what gets to me about inflation is that when I taught this economics course in high school and other levels, is how the government may try to use word play to try to make you think things are getting better when they're not really that much better. Last month, October, had a price increase of 7.7% over the last year. And then they touted this as really big news because it means, he said, inflation is going down. That is not true. That is not how this works. If you go from 8.2 to 7.7, we still have inflation. All right. The technical term for decrease in the rate is called disinflation. And I always used to joke about don't confuse it with dad inflation. No, disinflation is the slowing of the inflation rate. your prices are still rising at 7.7%. And there was an article where I was reading about it, which I was glad to see. This was, I believe, was in Forbes, and they finally said something that I have been saying for years, is that once prices rise to a certain level, they do not go back here. It's called the ratchet effect. And to be technical about it, what that means is that as prices rise to a certain level, they tend to stick there because the base components of the price haven't changed. The only way the price of products as a whole across the board will decline, actually lose its price value, is something called deflation, which is not good at all. Deflation is a hallmark characteristic of a massive recession. We had that during the COVID period. We had that recession during the crunch in 2008 briefly. We had it in the Great Depression. But prices are still rising very, very fast, very, very high, even at 7.7%, which is still the highest rate since the early 80s. And I saw it on the Department of Agriculture's page, and they're talking about all these various components of it. And they talked about eggs are almost 40% higher than they were a year ago. 40%. Milk, 17%. Cheese, 13.5%. As far as basic vegetables, potatoes, 15%. Canned fruit, 16.6. As far as chicken, which is a very common food item these days, 16.6%. Fish and seafood, 8.7. On and on and on. As far as cereals and grains here, breakfast cereal, 16.4%. Now, here's the thing about all of these things I just quoted to you is that even if inflation went to zero next month, which no one's saying that's going to happen, those high prices are going to stay there. Once that 39% increase in eggs is not going to retreat back to what it was a year ago. It's going to stay there. And the best you could do to accommodate that is have some time pass where wages and income can catch up, and to where a 39% increase in eggs can be more absorbed. But right now, it's a beating. Honestly, I promise you, I don't understand how families do it. For my wife and I, it's just the two of us, and our grocery bill is around $900 a month to $1,000, and we are not eating filet and drinking champagne. I can promise you that. It's just that expensive. And we don't go out to eat very much, not because except to Otto's place. I mean, of course, and I don't mean that as a sponsor thing. I go there because I know what I'm getting and I like it. But the point also is that these prices are going to stay there for a while. And so you would think that the Biden administration would be doing everything possible to make fuel prices come down and to make delivery prices come down. Their biggest component of the price increase is not shortages of fruits and vegetables. It's not that we don't raise enough cattle. It's the expense of getting them to market. Diesel is becoming very, very expensive. And here's where I'm really getting at. People look at the gas prices at QT and whatnot, and they see prices coming down, and they think things are going to get better. Two things I'd point out about that. One is a rapid drop in the price of gas is a surefire sign of a recession to come. People are driving less, so reserving as much money as they can, because almost every economist says we're in for a recession in the spring into early summer. And so people are driving less. Second of all, gasoline is just one component of our fuel composition, so to speak. There's all sorts of fuels that come from petroleum, and they're all going up in price. Heating oil, airline fuel. Boy, if you try to get a flight, we were looking at a flight to go to North Carolina to visit my in-laws, and it's almost a third more expensive than it would have been prior to COVID, because the fuel is so much more expensive. This is where I don't understand what the Biden administration's trying to do. It is more environmental dangerous and harmful and wasteful to truck it or ship it by train. Yet they are dead set opposed to building new pipelines. Those pipelines are more environmentally safe than trucks and trains. Now they say, what about leakages? Well, I would say, what about wrecks or derailments? Same thing. There's more. It has less emissions by far if we built pipelines. But the Biden administration's totally shut those down. Not just the Keystone one, but talk about those within the United States. And so it makes it very, very difficult to get diesel and heating fuel up to the Northeast. It has to be all trucked or trained, so to speak. It is cheaper to buy diesel and other heating fuels from foreign sources and have it enter New York than it is for us to ship it up here from Texas. And that's no joke. And so what we're having is, while we have these massive fuel crunches, our EPA are shutting down refineries. Now, they just last week reopened one because they were so desperate. They had shut one down for violations, but they shut one down near Philadelphia for a while. Now it's up and running. Why? Not because they solve their problems. They're just willing to give them a waiver because they need the diesel and the heating fuel. The Biden administration of no pipelines is costing us very dearly. It is one reason why your food products are more expensive, because they're more sensitive to fuel price increases. Those groceries are not put on the shelves or brought to HEB by trucks driving gasoline. It's by driving diesel. And we're getting more and more limited on our diesel supply. Second of all, December 9th, the railways are posed to go on strike. Now, this is not something that's made much news. It did make the headline finally of the New York Times, but here's what happened: the railroad strike. They were going to strike in late September, and Joe Biden intervened and gave what is part of the law is 2-month moratorium to say, like a cooling off period, and to continue negotiations. And in the meantime, they were pressuring the unions to accept the deal. Well, they're rejecting the deal right now. And Biden today met with the leaders of Congress, this current Congress, not the one to come, and said, I can't do anything about it. In effect, Congress passed a law. And so basically he's throwing his own party under the bus, because numerous Democrats in particular are pro-union, and they don't want to be put in a position where they're going to have to pressure the unions into accepting a deal. I've looked at what's going on with this strike, and I have to admit, I'm not a real big union guy by any means, but the union people have a beef. They really do. They don't get paid sick days, and they're on call 24/7. They do get paid very well, but that people act like, well, they get paid well, therefore it covers all these other problems. Well, no. There are a lot of things about sick leave and healthcare issues that the railroad unions are demanding, and they're not unreasonable. They're asking for a pay raise, of course, but what they're asking for is not unreasonable. And Biden couldn't get it done, and now he's going to make Congress try to vote on it. So now Pelosi's going to have to go twist arm all these union Democrats to pass a deal that will never get through the Senate. Bernie Sanders is already 100% any pressure by Congress. He wants the unions to win this fight, and there'll be other union-related senators like others that have re-elections coming up in a couple of years, like Sherrod Brown of Ohio, on and on and on. The point I'm making is that this strike is supposed to start, if it does, a week from Friday, December 9th. And if we're not transporting fuel by train, coal, diesel, gasoline, raw crude, we're going to have a real cold Christmas, particularly in the Northeast. And you want to see some prices go up. Everything would have to be delivered by truck, which we don't have the diesel for. What's Joe Biden's solution? Well, it isn't to open up more drilling. It won't make any good to open up the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, because he's already tapped that down to its lowest level in 40 years. And even if he emptied that thing, it wouldn't make any difference. This is not so much a demand and supply issue. It's a transportation issue, and it's not going to change anything. His solution: let's go to Venezuela. No joke. I got several articles about that. We're going to now start buying our fuel from Venezuela. We're not going to be buying it from West Texas. We're not going to be allowing drilling offshore. We're not going to be allowing drilling in public lands, at least federal lands. We're going to go to Venezuela and prop up that dictatorship of Nicolas Maduro. When was asked about this, why are we buying it from this dictator? The answer the White House gave was trying to promote democracy in Venezuela. That's rubbish. What they're trying to do is they're trying to ease the oil prices, and they're also trying to stem the tide of illegal immigrants that are coming out of Venezuela. 1/4 of the population of Venezuela has left the country. A lot of them towards us. Colombia has a worse problem with the migration than we do. The rest of South America does, but we also are getting significant numbers of Venezuelans. So this is the answer to Biden's oil problem and the immigration problem, is to buy more oil from a dictator who's going to use that money to oppress his own people even further. Nicolas Maduro is a dictator and a brutal savage, and we're going to be propping him up because we don't want to drill here in the United States. We don't want to deal with the environmental issues here, so we'll deal with them there. That's why I get confused. Rather than relying on our own resources, we're going to go to foreign dictators, not just Venezuela, but also Saudi Arabia. We saw that disgraceful episode last summer, and we're trying to beg the Saudis to increase production. Well, again, until this railroad strike is settled, it won't matter what they produce. But the point is that if we wanted lower prices on all our fuels, not just gasoline, diesel, heating fuel, aviation fuel, you name it, we need to increase domestic production. I have a lot of issues with Donald Trump, but at least I agree with him on this one. We need to be more energy independent. And now we're begging tyrants to keep our economy going. And so that's what I don't understand about that. I don't understand also about this climate issue that we just ratified in the last climate international conference. They had one in Egypt. It's a climate summit of the various nations. It just stopped, or not, just ended just a while back. And what gets to me is that we, as the United States, will be paying for the bulk of it. Let me just read from the articles. I got my articles today from the New York Times. Got most of my railroad strike information from the Times. The other stuff I got from National Review and Bloomberg and Forbes. And so here we are. All right, but I'm going to read this particular article by Andrew Fowler for the National Review. At the COP27 Climate Summit in Egypt earlier this month, American diplomats appointed by President Biden agreed to pay poor countries for supposed damage caused by America's emitting carbon dioxide. This represents a major reversal in U.S. climate policy. Similar agreements have been previously blocked by both the Obama and Trump administrations, and for good reason. The loss and damage fund is both incredibly expensive and could be used to create a legal liability for greenhouse emissions. In other words, poor countries can sue the United States for our greenhouse emissions under this agreement. If, I don't pick your developing country, it will. If they want to sue us, they can. What about China? I'm going to get to China. Okay. I'll just repeat that. The loss and damage fund is both incredibly expensive and could be used to create a legal liability for greenhouse gas emissions. A major beneficiary of the deal is China, despite the fact that it has much higher emissions than the United States. China, whatever the logic says, is still classified as a developing country. Therefore, they're eligible to receive funds, not paying funds. I'm reading also from these articles from Forbes. 27% of total global harmful emissions come from China, while the U.S. accounted for just 11%. Even so, this agreement's favorable to the Chinese. They're getting paid for putting out 2.5 times more carbon emissions than we are. And we're paying a lot. Okay. Who was the main negotiator for this was John Kerry, the climate czar, supposedly. John Kerry, because this is a family show, I'll refrain from what I really think of Mr. Kerry, but John Kerry has been the most egregious, most untrustworthy, most slippery and political of all the politicians I've been associated to know. John Kerry would have been a disgrace as president in 2004, and he has flip-flopped on every major issue. He is a hypocrite of the first order when it comes to climate. He justifies his private jet because of who he is and how important he is. Earlier in this process, he was quoted, "It's a well-known fact the United States and many other countries will not establish some sort of legal structure that is tied to compensation liability. That's just not happening." And yet 2 weeks later, by God, it did. The Biden administration and through John Kerry, caved. And now they created a fund that's going to be administered by international authorities, and they're going to assess the bill, and they're going to expect us to pony up for it. Okay. Now, how much? One study claimed that the climate finance needs could reach 290 billion to 580 billion in 2030. So $500 billion, is around $600 billion, is going to be the size of that fund, and could rise to more than $1 trillion per year by 2050. So we were going to be assessed a major portion of that, the biggest share of that. We're going to be spending several billion dollars, I mean, tens of billions of dollars a year, and then eventually hundreds of billions of dollars a year for climate change issues in other countries. Now, the article goes on to say it's unclear how Biden expects a Republican-controlled House to approve the deal. As Mr. Biden has shown with the school loan thing, he doesn't need Congress. He could just do as he wishes, and he might just do that. That's what got me concerned. You know, I haven't really talked much about the school loan thing. I have parts of it. I haven't really focused directly on it. I'll say for the record, and I'll say it again, I think the school loan thing, the school loan forgiveness is unconstitutional. Whatever the policy objectives are, that's not the way to do it by just finding some passage of an unrelated bill, and then 20 years ago, which is what they're doing, the HEROES Act, and then saying, well, this applies for this too, even though it had nothing to do with COVID. I could see very easily Mr. Biden say, well, this is an emergency, and therefore we're going to do it just by the wave of my hand. That's what really has me concerned, is that we're going to do this and not even go through the proper channels, because it'll be declared an emergency. The money will go out there. They'll be fought in the courts, and it'll take years and years. And by the time it gets settled one way or the other, it'll be too late. This is what I don't understand. Why is Mr. Biden not pro-America first? Why is he more concerned about democracy in Venezuela to the point he'll pay for a tyrant's stability to stay in office, or the Saudis' ability to stay in office, control that country? Why is he more concerned about that than he is about our own people, about these things? Why is he worried about paying for their climate change problems when they say, well, America caused some of these problems? America also provided tremendous amount of benefits worldwide. The capitalist system, flaws and all, and boy, there are plenty of them we could debate, but flaws and all, the capitalist system has raised the level of life in the world. Okay, around the world, even in these countries that are claiming to be damaged. And there's already countries lining up saying they want a piece of the action. The first one is the island nation of Vanuatu, which is in South Pacific. They want about $200 million. Thank you. Yet, without a capitalist system that we as a country and as a culture provided, what would Vanuatu be right now? And that could sound, I don't intend that to sound racist, but it is the truth that worldwide, what the United States has given, what the European capitalist system has given its people, is a much, much higher level than they would have had otherwise. Yet we're going to be paying for it. And that's where I get concerned, is where's this money going to come from? Is it just going to be fiat by the wave of his hand? It needs to go through Congress. Now, would it pass a Republican Congress? No. I doubt it even pass a Democrat one. But you never know. Nancy Pelosi has still got some time left on her tenure, and she can still twist arms. But this is where I'm really having a problem. I did not want to make this show a bellyache session about Joe Biden, but he makes it almost impossible. He does such bass-backward things on how to solve the problems. We need more oil, so we're going to go buy it from a dictator. We need to be able to transport better, so we're going to rely on much more environmentally damaging trucks and trains. And if they go out, then we got a real problem, which we could very well experience in about 2 weeks. Okay. We have a real problem. Do we have environmental problems here in the United States? Sure. And we passed a huge bill in the summer, the grossly named Inflation Reduction Act. Yeah, we're going to be on the hook to pay for everybody else's, including our biggest economic competitor. And China is not our friend. I'm going to not call them our enemy, but they're not our friend. They're not even our associate. They're nothing like it. They're our rival. They're our opponent. And we're going to be paying them money. My real concern again is that when this finally is put into place, which is very, very soon, Joe Biden is just going to do it and not even bother with Congress. And the only reason he's bothering Congress about the trade issues because he failed in the first time, and he wants them to take the heat. He wants the Democrats to basically walk the plank again. Now, that's what's heading our way, and I hope you all pay attention to both what's going on with the railroad strike and with the diesel prices and the heating oil prices. I know we got a lot to cover. Also, I pay attention to this COP27 and see just how it's going to be implemented. We need to, keep track of what's going on with all this stuff, because there are things happening that are obligating our country and putting our country in a very difficult situation. And we got a cold winter coming. We always do. And I just wondering how they're going to handle the shortage of heating oil. Are they going to try to supply more of it, or are they going to do what the Democrat Party has done in the past, which is subsidize by giving them payments? When the heating oil problem was getting more expensive, rather than providing more heating oil, they just gave more money to pay for the higher prices. That's not the way to do it. Only people that profit by that are the heat and oil companies. So pay attention. I know we got Christmas coming on. As far as the railroad strike affecting your Christmas, it very, very well could happen. I mean, a lot of Chinese products are bought at Christmas time, and they're going to be stuck at ports in California or Washington if they have no trains to transport them. Kind of like what happened a while back where we didn't have enough docks and enough ability to handle the shipping from China. It could happen all over again. Well, anyway, thank you, Katie Burns. I see you participated several times. I appreciate your participation in this. Please share this with your friends. It's it's when we have these difficult times like this, it's important to not let them affect our relationships with other people. Certainly, so share it with friends, and also, we're going to be heading for a recession and a tough time. That doesn't mean we have to make it tough on ourselves. We can, as a community, certainly band together and work our way through these things, even if it seems like the nitwits in Washington can't find their head from their backside. And we have things like I've been promoting here on the show. We have several things in the community. Toys for Tots. We got Melissa Harmon's Santa. We have the braces giveaway on the 1st. We have Harvest House and Promises will be very soon. I got Promises Community coming up next Monday. I have the Monday after that Harvest House. I have on the 8th of next week, I got the head of CTE, Randy Woolsey, going to come talk to us about BSD's trading programs and whatnot. I got the Chamber on my next show, and her guest will be Jeremy Bleeker with my BNI crew. So we got some good shows coming. Y'all take care and take care of each other, and I'll see you on Thursday.